Arsenal 4-1 over Aston Villa. This is going to be good. I've been waiting for this one. I've been waiting for a performance like this. We absolutely smacked them in that second half. I've got so much to talk about in this post-match instant reaction podcast, recording literally seconds after the final whistle. Welcome to the Real Arsenal Deal. Hello and welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. Rav here, your host as always. How is everyone today, wherever you are in the world? I hope you are grinning ear to ear as much as I am on screen. I'm like a child on Christmas morning, right? I'm giggling. I still am. I absolutely loved that. I loved that second half in particular. This is the post-match instant reaction. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Recording this, just as I said, minutes after the final whistle here, Melbourne time, Australian time, outside. It's a chilly morning, but you know what? I don't care because Arsenal have just smacked Aston Villa 4. It was the type of performance that I just had a feeling it was simmering. It was coming. We've been missing so many chances lately. I've spoken about it so much on this channel, and I'm sure everyone else has noticed the narratives too. It's been happening too much. The last 3 to 4 matches, Arsenal are missing too many chances, still winning, by the way, still finding a way through own goals and set pieces and penalties and whatnot. We are still finding a way through, and we sit top of the Premier League anyway. So it's a hell of a position of strength to be critiquing from, the fact that we're leaving so many goals on the table. But I just had a feeling that it's going to click. At some point, it's going to click. I mean, I was saying as much for those of you who listened to my most recent podcast after the Brighton game as well. I said it again, like at some point, it's going to click. These things naturally correct themselves over the time. That XG differential and all that sort of stuff, it corrects itself over time. It's a matter of when is it going to come together? When is it going to click? And what was interesting in the build up to this match, I read and heard so much, a bit of the opposite in terms of Aston Villa and their recent trend, their successive wins. They've been sort of defying those statistics. They've been clinical with their finishing. You know, a lot of long range strikes as well from someone of the caliber of the skill of Morgan Rogers, for example. I've read a lot about that. That was the thing in my head going into this match, that we needed to convert. I thought we needed to score in the first half as well. I was a bit nervous and edgy at halftime. I'll come to a bit more of a structure of the match itself after I just share some initial thoughts here. But it was a matter of when it does click, someone's going to cop a hammering. I think I said as much a few days ago. I didn't want to get too ahead of myself. I didn't want it to say it's going to happen in this match, but I was a bit concerned that if we don't take our chances, if we squander too many against Aston Villa, that we might get stung in the second half, because they've done it before as well, right? They've had an excellent record against Arsenal. Even last season when we were 2-0 ahead, they conjured a way back, and we dropped points in that match. It was one of those infamous matches last season where that whole points drop from winning positions tally, which I know it did everyone's head in last season. That's a standout in my memory. We should have seen that game through. Unfortunately, we didn't. But there was no narrative today. We answered all of them. We comprehensively dismantled them in that second half and put 4, and you know, we probably should have had some more as well. And I want to talk about the lineup. I want to talk about selection. I also have to spend a minute or so talking about that refereeing performance in the first half in particular, which I thought was just laughable, really. But before I do that, just to round off this particular point, look, I don't have anything against Aston Villa. Personally, I don't have anything against Emery. I absolutely don't. He's an excellent manager and has proven that over time. He was just the wrong person at the wrong time for Arsenal. He wasn't supported, right? It was a very disjointed time at Arsenal Football Club, from executive to ownership level. There wasn't that natural cohesion. The relationship between the fans and the players was damaged. I mean, I don't need to go into all of that. We all know the history there. So look, where I'm going with this is I don't have anything against them per se. However, just in recent seasons, Aston Villa have been a thorn in Arsenal's side. No better example than that match at the Emirates a couple of seasons ago, wedged in between the Bayern Munich Champions League tie, where we were on top of the Premier League. And had we taken our chances that match, Trossard and Martinez one-on-one, comes to mind. Martinez always has something to say about Arsenal, it seems, and so do Arsenal fans in return. So it's a bit of a two-way relationship. But all those narratives, all the times that they've come and rained on our parade, even just three and a half weeks ago, I think it was, winning from the final kick of the match. And, they've danced on our parade a few times. And Emery has the wood over Arteta, even from his Villarreal days and that Europa League semi-final some seasons ago. So look, all of that being said, whilst I have nothing against them, per se, I've been waiting, hoping, wanting Arsenal just to say enough is enough. Just it's enough. It's enough of that. They've had their moment, and good on them. Good luck to them. Absolutely, I've got nothing against them. At some point, though, we need to answer. We need to step up and say enough is enough and draw a line. And we smacked them. We absolutely smacked them this morning. 4-1. Look, it should have been 4-0. Like that late goal, I know it's annoying. It annoyed everyone, right? They didn't deserve anything much more than that in that second half. It's just great that we took all those narratives. There was all these other talk about are they in the title race? They could have equaled Arsenal on points with a victory here and done a double over Arsenal in the Premier League season. There was all these narratives waiting to be, all these headlines waiting, and we smacked them. We absolutely smacked them, and it was glorious, and it's been overdue. And I'm so proud of the boys. I'm so proud of that performance. We absolutely gave it to them. We took all those narratives, stuffed it into a bottle, and threw it out the window and smashed them. It was magnificent. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears now. I'm going to calm down. Thank you so much for indulging me in that. I just needed my moment as well. It's fair to say I was celebrating quite boisterously in that second half. I may or may not have hurt my wrist in celebrations the way I was smacking I think I was smacking my thighs and clapping my hands together. And I think I may have even smacked the rug a couple of times. Yeah, so it's the things football does to us. Sure, many of you can relate. It was just an overdue performance. So look, I'm going to take it right back from the start now. Selection. I think Declan Rice's name absent on the team sheet. It gave me a few worries because as amazing as he is and as versatile as he is, and he can just do a job anywhere, I thought this is a match where we needed his presence in midfield. Look, you need Declan Rice in any situation, right? He's that good of a footballer. We were boosted though by the return of Gabriel to the starting lineup and Timber at right back. I didn't know that he'd be ready to start this one. When I first heard rumblings that Rice is going to miss, immediately my thoughts went to what do we do at right back. Thankfully, though, such is the nature of Arsenal's season so far, that we have some players return, but we also have some outgoings too. Timber and Gabriel both started. There was no Calafiori at all in the matchday squad, but even another one who took me by surprise in terms of returning, Ben White back on the bench. That's amazing. That's amazing. It was a hamstring injury just a few weeks ago. I suspected. I thought that might be a 5 to 6 week type situation given his injury issues recently. So having him back in the squad as well was fantastic. Kai Havertz as well. Oh my God, how can I not even forget just having his presence named on the team sheet in the matchday squad? Look at our bench all of a sudden. I don't know what's happened with one area. I'm not sure if he's got a knock or an illness or something, but he wasn't in the matchday squad. I've already mentioned Rice not in the matchday squad. We've got injuries to Dowman still, Calafiori. So all of a sudden, our squad is starting to resemble what we all knew coming into this season with the amount of investment we made. Mosquera as well as another one completely absent from the matchday squad, still waiting to return, I think, sometime in January. So all of a sudden, it's starting to resemble what we all hoped and expected. And what a time to do it because, in a match of this stature, how many times have we been missing best players? I mean, that aforementioned match where Villa won 2-1 in the final kick of the game, we didn't have Saliba or Gabriel. And this is to take nothing away from their deputies. We have an excellent squad. We have high-level players waiting to step in and step out, of course. But you need your best players. I mean, as this is not cutting-edge analysis, you need your best players in the biggest matches at these moments of the season. And thankfully, the 11 that we named was largely resembling that, of course, aside from Calafiori and Rice. However, we had the bench as well to really stretch the match, and we had the options there. So fantastic to see. It was an excellent lineup on paper. Now, That first half, I don't know how much time to devote to this because we've come away resounding winners, right? And we've got the 3 points, and we now sit 5 points ahead of Manchester City, albeit temporarily. They play in 2 days' time, I believe. But importantly, we played first this time. We've got the points on the board. They've got 2 days into to stew on that, and they'll have their match away to Sunderland. But so I don't want to complain too much. I'm trying to give this now proper context and balance. I don't think it's outlandish, though, to at least comment on the first half in particular. I don't think it was particularly good from Arsenal. We played well in moments, in patches. However, there was a string of play from about maybe the 4th or 5th minute onwards where a certain tone set in that I'm sure it irritated many watching it. It was certainly irritated Arteta, is that we were played through too easily. Onana in particular, who was just a very, very elegant footballer to watch. Very quick, very pacey, tall physique. We just couldn't get near him. Too often Arsenal were cut apart with, it just took 1 or 2 passes really from back to front and we were stretched. And this is not something you typically see for Arsenal. It's not something we typically associate, being that wide open in terms of space, players sprinting, scampering back to keep up with the attackers. It was very unusual and it was unsettling, I must say. One glorious chance in particular where Villa should have been 1-0 ahead. With Watkins. I don't quite know what happened. They didn't show many replays here on the coverage. It looked like the ball just bobbled and it came more off his ankle and went out for a goal kick. Dear oh dear, we got lucky. We got absolutely lucky with that. Villa should have been ahead. Look, having said that, even in a poorer opening portion of the match, we still had a big chance. Gyökeres, in the opening minute or two, he's just got to aim his header down. It was a lovely pass floated in. He was in the right spot. He timed his leap. He just needed to head the ball down. Unfortunately, it didn't. It skied over. We didn't even test the keeper in that situation. That was disappointing. And then a few minutes later, Gyökeres again, he's the one who spilled over possession, playing out from the back in the press. It's a bit disappointing, and I don't want to feed this narrative too much because I know there's already a lot of discourse, a lot of conversation about Victor Gyökeres. One thing that you do know with him, though, with him coming in, is that a man of his stature, his physique, his strength, he shouldn't be bundled over the ball like that in the press. He should be stronger. And we know he's a good finisher. So heading the ball downwards, for a striker of his caliber and his goal-scoring pedigree, and yeah, he just should be doing better. I don't think it's outlandish to say that as well. It doesn't. I don't need to get sensationalist here and say things like, drop him, never play him again, sell him in January. We don't need all of that stuff. However, just the stuff that when it does fall his way, you want him to do the basics, the bare essentials correct. And unfortunately, he had a difficult first half, so much so that I was wondering, do we make the change at half time? I also don't think the referee had a good first half. Look, I have to mention this because it wouldn't be just proper commentary in terms of what I saw with my eyes this match, if I don't mention it. I can already feel the energy being drained from me talking about the referees officiating. It absolutely does my head in. I thought he had a very poor half. It was almost just conned by Aston Villa time and again. They almost were telling him what to do. It was like the Aston Villa players. Everyone was surrounding him constantly. Ollie Watkins seemed very, very wound up on this match. Onana as well. He's basically just pushed Marino over, 2-hand shove, and you don't get a yellow card for that. It was just bizarre. He played into the stoppages, the time wasting, feigning injuries, how he's managed to only pluck out 3 minutes of injury time that first half when I think Onana himself was down in their box for probably 3 or 4 minutes alone. Look, it was just a bizarre refereeing performance. Arsenal were getting visibly frustrated, remonstrating with him as well. It wasn't great. It wasn't fluid. He played right into their hands. And look, again, I don't want to get sensationalist. I don't think there's any major conspiracy, all that sort of stuff against us. It's not about that. We're all biased in our own ways, and I see things through an Arsenal lens. I don't want to pretend that it's just, they're out to get us or whatever, but I just think it's incompetence. I just don't think the standard of refereeing across the board for a league of this quality and this popularity as a global brand, I don't think the quality of refereeing is up to standard. I just don't. It's bizarre watching it from afar. It just seems like one big boys club. And it's just frustrating because it is so many of the basic decisions he just got wrong. And I could only laugh. I can only help but laugh now, even talking about it. But look, the entire complexion changes on this now because of what we did in the second half, right? We put 4 goals in, right? So I'm not going to complain too much more. So I'm happy just to park that refereeing discussion, put that in its own box, and get back now to talking about the good stuff in the game. Okay, so before I talk too much more about the second half, if you are new to my channel, if you could please consider liking and subscribing, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for all the recent activity, the recent followers and comments I get. I really do appreciate it. If you're listening on audio platforms, Apple or Spotify, please follow the show. Please leave me a 5-star review or hype the show on YouTube as well. All of that would make a big difference to me, please. It helps with visibility and engagement. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. So second half, Villa made one change at halftime. McGinn came on for Onana. McGinn has had a good record against Arsenal as well. We didn't make any changes, which was interesting. I wondered, does that mean that Arteta is just going to give Gyökeres, say, another 12, 15 minutes just to really go for it before he considers turning to the bench in the second half? And look, absolute credit to Gyökeres. He had some key moments in the opening few minutes of the first half. You saw the energy was different, the tempo was different, the intensity. So Gyökeres, he won a couple of key balls, key challenges. He was winning duels. I think he made one interception in particular, one block. He's won a throw-in, won a free kick. And look, I understand I'm not trying to lower the bar in terms of what we assess as a good performance or not from your centre forward. I'm not trying to do that. What I'm just more so saying is that when it's your turn to go, when it's your turn to do something, the bare basics, whatever the team needs in that situation, just do it well. Do it well and you build from there. And absolute credit to the players because they started to get the little things right. We were struggling to hold possession in the first half. We were struggling to string more than, say, 3, 5, 6 passes together at a time. So we just sort of brought it back down to basics. We controlled possession. What we started to do was strangle more. We strangled them in the press. And this is where I really want to hone in on because Arsenal really turned the screws here. We really dialed up the pressure, the intensity. Villa, they enjoyed a lot of space in the first half. We were very, very happy to go over the top and cut through our midfield. They were getting no joy in the opening parts of that second half. We really clamped down, and you could see it. You could see that the pressure started to get to them. And this was excellent because we smelt danger, we sniffed it. And it's one thing to do that and create that sort of jittery edge to your opposition. It's another thing altogether to capitalize. And boy, did we. Very early in the second half, we won our first corner of the match. That's what I was trying to say. Our first corner came in the opening few minutes of the second half. And guess who the coverage goes straight to? The camera hones straight away on Gabriel, looming large. He's a massive presence. He's in their heads. He's in everyone's heads because he's that type of footballer. He's a danger in both boxes. And when it comes to set pieces, we know what he can do. And our first corner swung in beautifully by Bukayo and scored by Gabriel. Villa protested. I didn't celebrate too hard because I know that there's always that delay and there's always going to be VAR checks. They check everything basically before you can fully be satisfied that it's a goal. But I just thought it was very weak goalkeeping. I'm not sure what they were protesting too much about. It's just one of those things where any contact on the goalkeeper in the box, usually they're so protected that they get a foul in their favour. But there was really very little in this. I mean, Gabriel's just got eyes on the ball. He jumps tall. He's a big presence. He's a big physique. Just couldn't get around him. And Gabriel scored 1-0. And it was an absolute legitimate goal. I don't think there was too much really to complain about, even though VAR had a good look at it. And 1-0. And then bang, we were on our way. What's really important though is that when you've got the goal, when you've got the momentum, you've changed the dynamics of the match, you push them back. The longer and longer the game goes, especially at the Emirates, the longer it stays 0-0 and Arsenal don't score, the more hope it gives the opposition. We've seen it time and again, right? How many times do they go and nick one at the other end? And it's happened too often lately against Arsenal too. So to get that early goal, it changes the entire complexion of the match. Now we smelt blood here. We went for it. We had a few chances that went. We were repeatedly piling on the pressure, getting spaces, getting half chances, couldn't quite put it away though. But what I loved though, is that we went straight back into position, straight back to the job, and we pressed them again to look for the next opportunity. And it came soon after. Just a beautiful pressing movement from Arsenal. The moment Odegaard gets this ball, watch Zubimendi. He just races straight through the middle, charging into the box. It was just a lovely passage of play. Odegaard has threaded through beautifully. Zubimendi has shifted his weight and he's just tucked it away outside of the right foot past Martinez into the corner. 2-0. It was delirium in my household. I was up and about. My boys were too. It was fantastic. 2-0. And that's just what we wanted, right? But 2-0 is not enough, especially as I mentioned before. Villa have come back a number of times this season from a few goals down. They did it against Arsenal last season. So 2-0 was not enough. As joyous as it was, you could see that they were straight back to it. I loved the celebrations. They were doing this sort of motion. Say, calm down, so long to go. Keep going, reset. You saw it from the bench. You saw it from the coaching group. The atmosphere, the celebrations. We were really, really behind the team. It was just everything just lifted. Everything just seemed elevated. And we went time and again, and we were just pummeling them. I believe it was just before the third goal, or maybe it was after. Apologies if I've got this wrong. Marino, he was already on a yellow card. He had one moment where he dragged down. Was it Watkins he dragged down? I can't quite recall. I'm sorry. I'll need to see it again. Dragged him down by the arm, gave away a free kick. And look, I try to be as measured and unbiased as possible. I'm not saying I'm perfect or whatever, but I'm just trying to give fair, proper commentary based on what I see. That should have been a second yellow card. I do believe Arsenal got lucky there. I do believe in the grand scheme of things, as much as I've moaned and complained about the referee earlier, I have to try and give some fair balance here to my feedback. And I think we were lucky. I think Arsenal should have been down to 10 men for a second yellow card against Mikel Merino. So thankfully that slipped through the cracks. We pressed again. There was a fantastic passage of play. It was scampering in their box. Shouts for a foul on Timber. I haven't really seen a replay of it because in that same passage of play, it looked like Timber, he tried to cut onto his right, then onto his left. He got bundled over. I didn't see any replays of it because in that same passage, we retained possession. Leandro Trossard, what a performance by him. He was our best player in the first half. He was probably our standout in the entire match. What a finish. From that right-hand space, that pocket, he's gone straight beyond Martinez into that corner. Unsavable. Martinez outstretched. I don't even think he got fingertips on it. It was a beautiful, beautiful finish. And I think there was a long VAR check again. I think they almost checked every angle for looking for an offside or something. I couldn't quite see it myself. The still images, yeah, it looked close, and I was sort of half watching, half expecting the offside colours to go up and the flag to be raised. Thankfully, the goal stood. Huge celebrations, huge relief from me as well, and at the Emirates, because I think we knew that at 3-0, that's what we wanted. I'm not saying the game was done or was safe, but you need that third goal just to completely finish them, just to completely kill them off. And absolute credit to Trossard. Like, what a finisher he is. He's been in brilliant form this season, our best player on the night, in my opinion, and just a fantastic goal when we needed it most. So from there, the result was largely... It was largely done. The game was largely done. It was going to be an Arsenal victory in some shape or form. But thankfully, we got a fourth as well because we've made another host of changes. Gabriel looked like he came off with cramp. I'm hoping it's nothing too serious. I haven't seen any post-match thoughts or interviews or anything yet, so I'm not aware if there's something more serious. But judging from the way he came off and the way he was talking to his teammates, I think this is a case of he felt something, some cramp and precautionary come off. Hincapié stepped into left centre back, Lewis Skelly on at left back. We also brought Norgard on. I haven't mentioned him yet. Great to see, because his minutes have been lacking this season, and this is what you have someone of his experience in the squad for. He's a very vastly experienced international and in the Premier League, Christian Norgard. So this is what he's there for. If he can't come on in situations like this and take 20, 25 minutes off someone, then questions need to be asked. Why is he in the squad? So thankfully, Arteta leaned into him. I think Marino came off, was the first sub for Norgard. We've then made, Lewis Skelly and who else came? I think Jesus as well came on for Gyökeres. And it was within the opening few seconds, I think it was inside the opening minute of Jesus being on the field, that he's got his first goal back this season since returning to the fold. And what a fantastic goal it was. Again, we swept through them, strangled possession, cut through them with ease. It's found its way to Jesus. And just a beautiful finish as well, and 4-0. And his shirt was straight off. I believe the message on his shirt was, "I belong to Jesus." I mean, that's fantastic. His namesake. And 4-0. It was glorious celebrations, just it was joyous for everyone. For me at home, watching all the way here in Melbourne in my lounge room with my family, to the Emirates Stadium itself, it was absolutely rocking. It was just a sensational moment. And look, Gabriel Jesus back in this form, he's looking sharp, he's fit, he's firing, he's got a goal now as well to break that duck. He's got a taste for it. I mean, this is tantalising for Arsenal to have someone like him. Havertz as well now back in the matchday squad. This is awesome. We've got so many matches now to play. We're playing again in a few days' time, by the way, away to Bournemouth. So we've got a host of fixtures in January. So this is transformational for Arsenal to have. And it can also relieve the pressure a bit off Gyökeres. We can start to dial the temperature down on that conversation. Gyökeres coming on at the 65, 70-minute mark against tired defenders. It's a completely different ball game. Maybe he can benefit from that as well, and he can get some goals running at tired defenders too. Who knows? But these are the options that we now have up our sleeve. So Jesus back in this form, I think he's played his way into a starting position. Wouldn't surprise me to see him start against Bournemouth this weekend. It's just fantastic to have. We saw out the match largely okay from there. Look, I have to talk about that goal that we conceded. You saw the frustrations, you saw the reaction from the players, from everyone. It's like, oh, for God's sake, how we conceded that. It was a bit of a nothing goal, a bit of a rubbish goal. Watkins, he usually scores against Arsenal. He missed that gilt-edged chance earlier. So, fair enough. He's got his goal this time. 4-1. Look, it's an inconvenience. Yes, it's a minor thing. I would have loved a clean sheet. I would have loved 4 or 5-0 against them, like I called for a few days ago. But look, 4-1, it will have to do. There was a moment, even a couple of minutes before that, where somehow Villa have missed. That was a warning shot to Arsenal. It came in off the post. It rebounded straight back to McGinn. He had an open goal in front of him. It was a tap in really, but he struck it straight at Raya, who's reacted amazingly well, and he's parried the ball away to keep it out. I mean, I don't know how he did that, but you'd have to say it's more of a miss than a save from Aston Villa point of view. And look, they eventually got their goal again. A bit scrappy, bit ungamely, and it will annoy many because we know how much we crave that clean sheet. You saw the way they celebrate key blocks, key defensive actions. There was one earlier as well when Gabriel was still on. He got a key block on, I think it was a shot from Rodgers that Gabriel, he got his foot to and it went out for a corner. You saw the celebrations. They celebrate like it's a goal almost, and I love watching that. I absolutely love the way they celebrate. And yes, it really would have annoyed many at Arsenal that they scored. But look, at that point, it was largely inevitable. So the match finishes 4-1. Arsenal deserving victors. Like, it was just a brilliant, brilliant second half performance. We've answered so many questions again. We've extended our lead at the top of the Premier League table. It's just, and we've put them back in their box almost, right? It was just getting, like I said in the open, it was just nice just to take all those conversations, all those headlines, put it into a box and just smack it out of the park. And we smacked them. It was brilliant. So yes, now we get to sit back for a couple of days and see how City go away at Sunderland. But either way, we're going to be either going to be 5 points ahead still, or 3 or 2. I mean, it is what it is, right? We just got to focus on our job, get our job done, and be professional, be mature about it, focus, and just go out there and do the business. And that's what we did here tonight. That's what we've been doing lately. Albeit I much prefer in this manner, right? When we take our chances and we put 4 goals away. If we do that more often, it's no complaints from me. It's important now we back this up away to Bournemouth in a few days' time. Look, on that note, on that very joyous note, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Just a quick word of thanks to everyone who has tuned in this year over 2025. I greatly appreciate your support and your viewership and your listenership. A very happy new year to you. I hope everyone is well and safe and looking after yourselves and your loved ones. I also know it can be a difficult time of year for many who may be feeling the strains of different challenges in life or feeling alone. And I want to also acknowledge you and you're in my thoughts. I know it's a difficult time for many, so please do reach out as well if you need support. You are certainly not alone. So you are in my thoughts too. So thank you again to everyone for listening. Please stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, follow the show, because I'll be back on in a few days' time. I'm going to record after every match day. That's my commitment to keep going with this little venture and see what happens. So look, thank you so much again for watching and listening. Just a fantastic performance from Arsenal. Enjoy it, please, because football is made for moments like this. If you can't enjoy matches like this in a big game with a big build-up, then I don't really know what else to say. I'm grinning ear to ear, and as I head back up and publish this, I'm probably going to watch the match again with my boys a bit later on today. So Look after yourselves. Stay safe, stay well. Enjoy the match. Enjoy the victory. Check in with your loved ones and come on, Arsenal.